first episode of 2026. I took some time off to recharge and to reflect where I wanted to take the podcast. And over the last couple of years, I've brought so many different guests from so many different backgrounds. I've had amazing conversations and great insights. But now I want to share a bit about myself or a little bit about more my insights, things I've learned, things I've connected, or reflections I've had. Hopefully, so to some of you might benefit from it. And for today's theme would be one thing that a lot of people have been struggling with, which is modern dating. I've spent literally almost 3 years trying to figure out why so many people struggle with dating nowadays. Because if I'm honest, last time I truly dated was 2013. We're talking about almost 13 years ago. I was in a relationship for almost 10. I got divorced, took some time off to heal, process, going through the grief and emotions. And by the time I was ready to go back out, I was so confused. I didn't understand anything. I didn't understand why people are struggling so much, how the dating dynamics had changed, the dating habits, and even the dating mindset around it. So, of course, I had to do what I like to do most. Let's go ahead and figure out why. So, once again, I interview dating coaches, relationship coaches, psychologists, neuroscientists, as well as talk to friends of mine who are single, talk to acquaintances, co-workers, and even random people on the street because I wanted to figure out what the issues were. And I believe the number one issue, the core issue why everything has gone downhill is fear. Now, for some of you might think, well, duh, fear is like clearly everyone is afraid. But I think it's deeper than that. There are different fears around it that we maybe not we might not think too much about it, but they are real. And I'll personally going to divide it into three different fears: fear of choosing the wrong person, fear of being vulnerable, being seen, which is the same fear of not being enough, and fear of knowing yourself and exploring your past traumas, baggage, and negative experience around dating. So let's dive in, right? The fear of choosing the wrong person. What dating apps created, in my mind, is this false sense of abundance, of options. But at the same time, it created something in people's psyche that, oh, what if I choose the wrong person? No, okay, since I have so many different options, I should choose the good one because what I've seen on social media is a lot of men don't want to commit. A lot of women just want you for your money or for your status or just to screw you over. So I have to choose right. And they get into this mindset that okay, this person might be great on paper, but I want to choose, but I want to get something better and better. We're so afraid of being heartbroken that we keep swiping and looking and dumping one and chasing the other one because it doesn't matter. You're never going to find the perfect match. And if you do, well, sorry to break it to you, you're even going to ignore it. Why? Because for you, it's just the chasing, it's just the image or the anticipation of getting the right person. When in reality, when the right person comes to you, you freak out because guess what? Every single one of us, or most of us, have experienced heartbreak, have experienced abandonment, have experienced betrayal and loss. And we sort of work through it through our mind, but that emotion never left the body. So what happens is when we meet somebody new that we're excited about, that we're oh that might have potential, our nervous system remembers the last time we felt like that and how that ended. Our brains predict more than they perceive. So as many times we have this fear of choosing the wrong person because in the past we chose the wrong person. And now that fear that lives in the body is projecting into the future. So we are afraid of a catastrophe that has already happened. It belongs to the past, but we have forgotten that is the past, so we keep seeing it in the future. So anytime that something gets real or close, we come up with a different reason. Like, well, I mean, she was great, but there were a couple of red flags, or he gave me the ick on this couple of things, and you keep moving on from people because true fear is I want someone who's never going to betray me, who's never going to hurt me, and who's never going to abandon me. Guess what? You cannot control that, right? You can either live by yourself at home, never try, and never experience the the wonders of deep love with another person, or you can risk and see what happens. Because guess what? Loving someone means giving them the power to destroy you and hope that they don't use it. That's a fear. We unconsciously know that that's what we're risking. So, what do people do? They don't commit because the moment gets too real, guess what? I'm out of here because I don't want to have feelings. I don't want to be afraid that this person is going to break my heart. By the way, all of this is unconscious. This happens time and time and time again because people haven't realized or just haven't gone inward to see and to analyze and to understand why I keep doing this. We keep lying to ourselves saying that wasn't ideal. There were a couple of things I didn't like, or this rubbed me the wrong way. And at the first mile inconvenience, I'm out. I'm out. I can't do this anymore. And any excuse, you're just looking for something to pull the trigger. Now comes the second fear, the fear of being vulnerable, the fear of being seen or not being enough. Many of the relationships, or even how the early stages of dating has, is the fact that you have two people who want to connect, who deeply want to connect, but are afraid not only that they might get hurt, but also that I don't know how the other person feels like. So I'm not going to be 100% in because if the other person is not 100% in, that means that I'm going to get hurt. And if the other person is not 100% in, it's probably because I'm not enough. Also, for me to be 100% in, I need to be 100% open, vulnerable, and let the other person see all of me, all the flaws, all the bad pieces, the good pieces, all of that. I'm not saying, by the way, to trauma dump. I'm saying to see the different personality, to see the different parts of you that even you don't even like. It could be as silly as, guess what? I don't know, walk without pants in around the house. Who knows? Anything. There can be something tiny, small, insignificant, or something big. So we are very so what I've seen people do is very performative. They go into these dynamics, they only showcase the good things or the things that they have already pre-selected in themselves to show to the other person because they're afraid that if this person fully sees me, the person's going to run away. How are we expecting connection? How are we expecting true relationship to happen when you cannot even be yourself, or when you only show some parts of yourself? And by the way, this happens both ways for men and women. I had a friend last year. He and this girl were dating, and I could tell that both of them really wanted that relationship to happen, but both of them were deeply afraid to be 100% in. One of them was waiting for the other one to say, "Hey, I'm 100% in," so the other one could feel safe. But neither of them budge. So it ended up not happening. And I've seen that so many different times. Once again, it's a fear of if they see me for who I am, they're going to run away from me. If they do that, that means that they were never meant for you. Period. Would you rather be with someone who only likes the crafted version of yourself, which means that you need to hide some parts from them, Or would you rather be with someone who sees the whole you and stays there? If you ask me, I wanna be with someone who sees the whole me and decides it to stay. Sure, there will be times where we're gonna get hurt. When somebody's perception of us will wound us, but that's how they see us. That's not how we should see ourselves. So once again, and this ties to my last fear of knowing ourselves, going through our trauma, going through our baggage and into our emotions. Because the fact that we are so afraid of choosing the wrong person, that we are so afraid of being seen and be fully vulnerable, comes down to truly have the fear of knowing ourselves, truly having the fear of feeling the emotions, let the emotions out of the body, process them, right? Because guess what? Every time a person breaks up, what's the number one thing that they say? I'm working on myself. I'm letting time heal my wounds. I'm sorry to break it to you, brother. Time does not heal. Time will numb you from the pain. But if you don't work on the things that wound you, if you don't work on those parts of yourself that created that heartbreak, if you don't focus on yourself and understand different areas of your being, you're not doing anything. Because if you're not focused on learning and growing and basically analyzing, well, which boundaries I should have next time or what would work for me next time, you're just basically sitting there letting time pass because you know that at some point you're not going to feel as hurt. Time will numb you. And guess what? Then you will go out again and you will repeat the same cycle and the same story, just with a different person. And when you go through that once, twice, three, four, 5 times, then you say, everyone is the same. There's no one out there. Well, did you ask yourself the tough questions? Like, well, what were my actions? How come I attracted that person to begin with? Because guess what? Nobody can control attraction, not even you. If you're attracted to someone, you didn't consciously choose to be attracted to that person. Or there's someone out there that might be a good fit for you, but you're not attracted to that person. You cannot control not being attracted to that person. It's just a feeling. And feeling is usually a trauma response and familiarity. And the moment that you break that cycle by going inwards, by trying to understand why you are attracted to the toxic person or the narcissist, like apparently everyone is a narcissist nowadays, according to Instagram and TikTok and all of those, and why you're just keep going after emotionally unavailable people. Once you understand that, and once you heal your inner child by feeling the emotions, by getting those emotions out of your body, that's when you start attracting different people. Because once you raise your frequency, so you meet people at a different frequencies and at a different emotional um, understanding than in the past. But guess what? That requires a lot of courage. That requires you to surrender and release the grip. That means feeling. That means crying. That means grieving. That means feeling hopeless or helpless. That's just letting those wounds out of your body, because the body always keeps the score. And until you release them, they're still going to be there. Just as Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. There's so many people out there on social media saying, well, apparently this is just for me, it's my cross to bear to attract toxic people or to attract emotionally unavailable people or to attract people that don't value me. No, it's just your subconscious mind, which is attached to your nervous system, to your limbic brain, which is all your emotions, are basically looking for those people because that's what it feels familiar. And until you heal that, you won't be recovered. That is probably one of the biggest issues I see nowadays. You have a lot of people that haven't healed. Now, those out there in the dating market. Now, I'm not saying, oh, you need to be fully healed before getting into a relationship. No, I'm saying understand yourself first. Go through the emotions. Go through therapy, to therapy, coaching, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just go somewhere. Talk to a friend, coach, anyone. Because if you want to have a more fulfilling life, by the way, and this not only applies to love, it applies to your personal life, to your career, applies to everything. Because your body is directing your life. And that is based on the emotions stored there that you haven't processed and you haven't released. By the way, there's another thing that just popped into my mind that I've noticed a lot lately. Both men and women have different, I wouldn't say reasons, but maybe excuses or lies they like to tell themselves about why they're not dating, why they have given up. You have a lot of women saying, I don't want anybody to disturb my peace. I'm too peaceful. I found inner peace. I have a great life and all of that. For men, oh, I'm building my empire. I'm building my life. I'm going to the gym. I'm building my business. And that's why I don't need any distraction. I don't need anybody to take money from me or to take my focus away from that. I'm sorry to break it to you. Both of them, to preserve your peace as a woman and to build your empire, go to the gym and build yourself up, both of them are lies. And the lie is simple. What you're trying to cover, and this is going to sound rough, but it's the honest truth, is that you have experienced in the past that the people you have been attracted to, they don't like you back. We all have experienced that. But also, you have experienced the same people, whether you are attracted to emotionally unavailable people, or people that only want to be in situationships, or people that don't really care about you. So instead of accepting that, oh, people don't like me, or maybe I'm not enough, or maybe it's not meant to be because that is too much pain for you, we start changing the story in our brain, and we start telling ourselves, I like my peace. And at first you might not believe that, but over time you start believing it. And now, even if you want to connect, you say, no, it disturbs my peace. And even if you go into a first day, second day, third day, fourth day, the mild inconvenience asks you to just run away. And you will call it was disturbing my peace, and my peace is my top priority. If you want to have a relationship, guess what? You would experience growing pains. Both people have to compromise. It's not going to be easy at first. So yes, it's going to be mildly inconvenient, and sometimes it would be somewhat inconvenient. But that happens with any kind of relationship, whether it's a work relationship with your coworker, whether it's with your roommate, or with your friends, or with your family. All relationships might bring some level of inconvenience because we're humans, we're different. But if you tell yourself that you don't want to disturb your peace, years will pass and you will look back and you will regret not having someone. And by the way, this is not about like, oh, you need someone to be complete. No, we are made to mate. It's part of our DNA. It's part of our primal instincts. We need to connect. We need that connection. We need that companionship. And if you're trying to go against your nature, against your biology, you're not gonna be happy. And for guys as well, sure, apparently so, 80% of women go after the top 20% of men, which leads 80% of men going after the bottom 20% of women. And for them, it's like, okay, if I want to be with someone who I see very attractive, or I like their values, or I like their lifestyle, or I like their personality, but they don't pay attention to me, oh, let me go and focus on myself. Because women only care about lifestyle. Women only care about money. Women care about that. That's a way of coping. Sure, I'm not saying not to improve yourself. Of course, you just go improve yourself. Go work on your personality, work on your body, work on your projects. Sure, But don't say that you're not dating because it's not worth it, that now it's pointless because there's no value in having a relationship. What I come to realize, people are so deeply lonely, so sad, in a normal way, in a human way, by the way. I'm not judging here anybody, that they have to rely on lies to cope. And all of this can change if we start having a little more courage. And that courage starts with facing ourselves, facing those emotions, facing those wounds from the past, facing our shadows, the parts of ourselves that we don't like, the parts of ourselves we're ashamed of. And that's the first domino. Once we take that domino down, everything starts falling into place. Why? Because once you express your emotions, your reality changes. You might wonder, how does that work? Well, let me introduce here a little bit of neuroscience. You don't experience reality, you experience your brain's version of it, which means that whatever story you carry in your mind, whether it's in your conscious brain or in your subconscious one, your brain will show you that. Our senses gather 11 million bits of information per second, but our prefrontal cortex, the part that we think, analyze, can only process up to 50. So 99.9% of what your senses gather get filtered out. And it's not that your brain doesn't want you to be happy, or doesn't want you to succeed. Your brain only cares about one thing, and one thing only, is to keep you safe by following your beliefs. So if you believe that you only attract unavailable men, or you only attract narcissists, or if you only attract girls who only want money, or if you attract girls who only just like the lifestyle and they're cheaters, your brain will literally show you those. But those beliefs are based on fear of not being good enough, fear of being truly seen, fear of getting your heart broken again. Once you process that, your subconscious mind starts changing because your beliefs start changing. Once your beliefs change, then the way that you see the world, your lens changes. Now, suddenly, you start meeting different people, people who align with your values, people who really want to commit, people who are not people that don't care so much about money or lifestyle, but to build something together. And you might wonder, wait, where, where were you? Or where were those people all this time? They were right there. But your brain filtered them out because it was going against your belief. And once that happens, everything changes. And I think that that's the dating problem is much more simple than we believe. But it all starts with each and every single one of us. It doesn't start with eliminating the dating apps or the Instagram and the DMs and the dating multiple people. No, it starts with you. Once you work on yourself, once you go through all the steps I suggested, and you almost like organically meet people that you never thought you were going to meet. You wouldn't even have to use dating apps or Instagram or any of this. You will randomly bump into somebody at the grocery store or playing pickleball or hiking or running or walking or book club, who knows? And suddenly your life has changed. And you might say, well, that dating pool is full of piss. Guess what? There are quite a few people outside that think the same way, and they don't jump into the pool with a lot of people who haven't done the work and who haven't healed, and they're still deeply afraid. And those people might chat over some cocktails, if we keep with the metaphor of the pool. That's it. It is easier said than done. It is simple, but not easy. Having the courage to truly go through all of that is not easy, especially if you have a insecure attachment. If you have an insecure attachment, it's going to be a little bit harder. Before ending this, I want to share a quick story of a good friend of mine that happened a couple of years ago that maybe you might relate to. Maybe you might feel like, holy crap, that's me, or holy crap, I experienced that on the other end. And I'm sharing this story because it was deeply sad for me because I couldn't understand what was happening back then. But with all the knowledge I've gathered over the years, I understand now. And I felt for her. So I have a good friend of mine who lives in Europe. And about 2 years ago, she met this guy at I don't know which activity they were doing, a painting or puttering or something. And they were each, and they would meet once a week on Saturday mornings. After that, some of the group would go for brunch. One, I think on one random Saturday, this new guy came, and he seemed kind of like slightly introverted, maybe a little bit shy, but he seemed to be a pretty cool dude. She immediately started feeling something for this guy. She felt like this pull, this attraction, this she was drawn to him in ways that she never felt before. So she started chatting with him every week after their class when we all were having brunch. The guy at some point asked her out, and I remember when we were talking months after that she said that she told him no, that she wasn't ready because she just got out of uh, a relationship just recently. And the guy don't understood that. But in reality, she has been single for months and she's been kind of dating. But she was so afraid of what she felt close when she was near him. What she was describing was that she felt overwhelmed by emotions, that she was like extremely dysregulated. She felt like she couldn't breathe every now and then. She felt so vulnerable, even though she wasn't sharing anything. She felt that he could see through her, or I don't know. And I couldn't understand exactly what happened back then, but now it's clear that she was a fearful, or she's a fearful avoidant. To make the story short, she started giving him mixed signals, not as a game, but as a way to unconsciously not knowing what to do. She would get close to him, kind of flirt for a bit, but then she will pull away, or she will pull back for weeks and she wouldn't talk to him, and then she will come again and pull back, and so on and so forth. The only reason why she was pulling back, and if you're a guy and if you have experiences, it's not that she was playing games. It's the fact that she was so dysregulated that she needed to take some time away to go back to herself. She's one of those people that wants to connect so badly. She wants that connection. She yearns for that connection, and yet she's terrified of it. Absolutely terrified. It's almost like you're trying to come close and immediately run away because there's this irrational fear inside of you. And I remember talking to her like a couple of months ago and telling her that I finally understood what she was going through, and she understood that now. And she felt pretty sad. I mean, I remember that she was crying over the phone because she said to me, "Hey, a few months after that, he got a girlfriend, and I haven't seen him ever since. And still to this day, I still think about him." And I guess the guy, I guess in her mind, was the one who got away. And it broke my heart because I mean I care about my friends, but I could see how, imagine that you really want to be with someone. You just crave that connection, that intimacy, that companionship, and yet it's almost like a wall that's in front of you that terrifies you, and then you are between the desire of a connection and the fear of vulnerability. She's working on herself now, but that is another reason why we need to know ourselves. Whether you have an anxious attach, whether whether you have an anxious attachment and you go and seek out or attract avoidance, or whether you're avoidant and then push people away and then regret because you still feel the connection. Because my friend, it's not that she didn't care, it's not that she didn't feel. Quite the opposite. She felt too much too deeply, and that overwhelmed her. So, yeah, that is what's happening. Once again, the solution is simple, not easy. And at the end of the day, is what we have to do or what is required for us to do if we truly want to have a healthy, happy, fulfilling relationship. That's all. And the moment we start doing that as individuals, the entire dating pool, landscape, world, however you want to call it, will change. So it's up to every single one of us. So if you're listening to this and you made it this far, be courageous. Go for it. Because the moment you do that, things will change. Now, one last piece of advice. We tend to overestimate what we can do in a day and underestimate what we can do in a year. Why do I say this? Because we start working on ourselves. We start going inwards, and then we wait for a couple of days, and then a week, and nothing happens, and then we say, "Screw it! I'm not going to do this anymore." It doesn't work, right? Because we don't see those results, and those results are not going to be tangible early on. But if you trust the process, even though you won't have the visible outcomes, and if you trust uncertainty, and if you can sit with uncertainty and believing and trusting that this will take you to the promised land, you'll get there. It might take you a month, it might take you a year, but you'll get there. And the more you delay, the harder it's going to be, because the more you delay your emotions or the more you suppress your emotions, the harder they become to release from the body and to process and to understand. So, yeah, that is my uh, breakdown of modern dating. Fear, number one issue. We address fear, we become more courageous to know ourselves, to process our emotions, to go through our baggage and trauma. And then now we're not going to be afraid of being open, of being vulnerable, because we know ourselves deeply first. And once we get that, we're not even afraid of choosing the wrong person, because we know that after doing the work, that person that will come into our life is going to be deeply aligned with our values and our being. That's all. So expect more of these kind of episodes. I'm going to address mindset, neuroscience, reality, identity, so many different things that I want to share with the world. And this is one of them. So I'll have a mix of both guests and solo episode. So yeah, I hope this resonated with you, and we'll see you next time.